Hello everyone, I am Shannon and I am the Wisdom Wench, and today we are harvesting some cleavers that we are going to dry out and turn into a tincture. So cleavers are a plant that you have all probably come across before. It's also known as goosegrass and sticky willy very commonly, because if you touch it, it gets all over your clothes, it will just stick. It won't go anywhere at all. So we are in my garden right now and I've let it grow a little bit wild over spring and it's gone completely overgrown, but in a very cool way. In this garden bed, cleavers started to grow. So what I'm going to be doing today is harvesting them so that I can move this bench, which is here because my dog kept trying to jump over the wall. So we improvised. But now it is time. Oh look, I'm already being stuck to. See? Now it is time to harvest them so that I can start cleaning up the beds for the rest of spring. I'm harvesting them just as they're starting to flower, which might be slightly late, but they haven't gone to seed yet. And I'm using my hands instead of gloves because these will just stick to all fabric that it touches. We will then give them a really good clean and a really good wash before using them in any of our herbal preparations. So the reason that cleavers are so sticky is that if you looked at them under a microscope, on all of the leaves and all of the stems, you would see these really tiny little hooks. That is what gives them their sticking power, lets them stick to everything it comes in contact with. With these cleavers, we will be drying some of them out in the oven. I was doing some research on drying herbs, and I'm used to just tying herbs in bundles. Woo, that's a lot. I'm used to just tying herbs in bundles and hanging them upside down, and normally they would simply dry out from that. However, everything I've read on cleavers is that they need to be dried out pretty quickly. An important part of cleavers is they're a very moisture heavy plant, which means that they will start to wilt very quickly. So we want to get all of that goodness saved and dried out or tinctured before we lose anything from the plant. The first part of making our tincture involves cleaning the herbs. I wash them under running water and I make sure to pick off any dead or dying bits of leaves and avoid any bits that may have looked like they've been chomped on by bugs. I chop up the herbs nice and small so they can fit in the jar a little bit easier. I get as much packed into that jar as I possibly can. I'm then going to add a 37.5% volume alcohol to make sure that the fresh herb is completely covered. I've used a very strong alcohol here so that the herb doesn't start to decay, and we can extract as much from this plant as we can. There are many benefits for creating tinctures from a plant. It firstly preserves the herb, and its medicinal uses for an extended time, long past the season of the plant. So you can combine it with other plants that flower or in season at different times of the year, and you can get the most from your medicine. It also means that you get a concentrated extract of the plant. You don't need to use as much of it to get the same benefits. dry out the cleavers, I started by preheating my oven to the lowest temperature that it could go. I chopped up the herbs and laid them out on a baking tray before putting in the oven and closing the door. This didn't quite work though, and I ended up with this soggy mess of a pile, so I was ready to try again the next day. Okay, so it's the next day and I've gone and got a few more cleavers from the garden. They've all been washed, they've been dried, and I've done a few things differently. So with the cleavers, the last batch that I used, what I ended up with was this like clumpy, wet, sort of dry on the outside mass that it just didn't work. But when I opened the door to my oven, on the front of it was covered in condensation. So I think I know what I did wrong. I think it needs to have the oven open as well. So instead of cutting all these cleavers down, what I've done is I've just washed them, dried them, and they're going to go in the oven at the lowest temperature that I can do, but with the door open. And I'm going to leave them like that for maybe an hour and then have a check on them. See how it goes. I really don't know what's going to happen. I'm very much used to hanging herb bundles upside down and drying them, so this is a bit of new territory for me. So the oven is warmed up, so I'm just going to leave this open with the cleavers in there, and I will go and check on them in about an hour. Okay, so it's been about an hour and everything worked this time. I had this closed up until about 20 minutes ago where I just switched off the oven because I was doing some other things. But we have this beautiful, dried, crispy herb and it's just breaking apart in my hands, which is perfect. So we just need to break this apart and store it, but we have dried the cleavers. I'm very happy with that. So I know what I did wrong. I needed to have the door open, and as soon as I did that, it is all dried out perfectly, just as I needed it. So that was a success. Hi everyone, Editing Shannon here. I just stopped filming. I don't know why. I just kind of walked away at that point. I broke off all the leaves from the stems of the dried plant and they're in this jar ready to be used. They were very easy to make when I had opened the oven door and actually let them dry out properly. They just crumpled up in my hand and we've got them stored here. This was what I got from that small amount of cleavers that I dried the second time round. I will probably dry some more. I've still got some more growing, so I'm going to harvest that. But this was a good little test. Its botanical name is Galium aparine, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about this beautiful, cooling, cleansing herb. It's often used by herbalists in conditions to do with the lymphatic system. It's a very good anti-inflammatory, so it's good at pushing all of those toxins through and out of your body. It's a diuretic, so given by herbalists to people with kidney conditions, things like UTIs, it's very good for that, and it's very, very rich in vitamin C. The infused cleaver herb can be used in oils and externally and topically, treating inflammatory conditions of the skin, things like eczema, psoriasis. It can be used in a herbal first aid kit for things like burns and sunburns. It's a plant that can be used commonly in both food and medicine, and is used in both food and medicine. It's a very easy herb to find and it's very safe for a lot of people, but if you have any concerns before taking anything, please go see your doctor or a herbalist. I've got the other half of it tincturing, and that will be ready to drain in about 6 weeks, and I will put a little post up about that. Thank you so much for coming along with me today, and I hope you take the time to spot some cleavers in your everyday life. They grow pretty much everywhere, so if you do spot them, if you've known about any more cool properties to do with cleavers, drop that in the comments below, and if you'd like to see more, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye everyone. I can start cleaning up the breads. Woo. So, with these tinctures, no. Thank you so long. No.